What's up, Reefers? This is Alex Wilson, and this is my video log where you can hopefully learn from my mistakes, so come check it out. Okay guys, so here's my 20-gallon quarantine system update. And one thing is that I'd like to mention is that certainly did lose the clams that were in here. I had the Maxima, Babe Maxima there, as well as that Squamosa, if you remember, of course. But I also had another Durasa that I was trying to get pooping. That's right, feeding them with the phytoplankton, and certainly was successful in getting him to poop and everything, except that he died. That's right, unfortunately didn't make it, and my determination was that in fact the feeding killed him. However, I mean, the feeding is tricky because it was beneficial. I mean, it was pooping because it was eating, but eating too much, and well, essentially died because of an ammonia spike, ammonia or nitrite spike. And I test with these using the Aqua Spin by API, and the API Aqua Spin on there shows, you know, when you do the test on it, it shows the nitrite and ammonia. So yeah, it did show a definite spike of them. So I believe, you know, just it overwhelms of this little 20-gallon system. It was just too much feeding, you know, maybe just too quick at a time. Maybe if I had just, you know, slowly over the course of at least a month, you know, bumped up the amount that I was feeding and then adding them in there. So yeah, that's just one of the things you really have to be careful with, as far as especially the clams, but corals as well. Especially the clams, it's just overfeeding them and then getting overloading your system and getting in an ammonia nitrite spike that will come around and take the clams out, because I definitely believe that's what happened there. Because the Maxima, I mean, yeah, I did have a rough trip of a 2-day shipping on him, and so that certainly could have been a factor as well. But the Durasa that I had right there was doing really good, and so, you know, and I already had him there for a couple of weeks. And so, you know, it was good there. So I think it was just a straight ammonia spike on that one. So I was really surprised that the Durasa did die, because they're a lot, according to what I've heard, the most hardy of the clams. So certainly was surprised it went down. So that one died, and I got this one to replace it. So this one is a Big Bar Durasa, and I got this one at Corals Anonymous, and it's, from you look at it from it's supposed to be a green. From you look at it from the top down, definitely has some of the green right in there, right in the middle, right there. But it's kind of a real dark green and almost hard to really perceive even from the top down. But technically, it's one of the more rare clams that has that in the middle, whereas your typical just gold Durasa doesn't have that. But that being said, from the front of it, definitely has, can't see that green. I have had, however, in the past, some really nice Durasas that you can see a really nice green or blue spots and stripes from the front of them. And so, yeah, this one definitely has a little bit darker of a mantle, but it has the big bar gold spots on them. Gold, I call them the bar spotted Durasas that I particularly like. So yep, there he is. Also going to get exceptionally big. These guys get up to 2 feet long. So that's as long as my bigger display aquarium is. This is 2 feet 24 inches deep. So, you know, I'm just getting it to grow them out, and my plan is to eventually pass them on or to sell them later on. Just grow them up and see what they can do. You know, they do grow, I hear, definitely on the quicker side compared to up the other Croceas and Maximas and the Squamosas and the Hippopus. There's also the Noe, Tridacna Noes. Those are the Maximas that have the teardrop teardrops on them that they used to be part of the Maxima family, but they put them into their own family now called the Tridactyle No Way family. So, and let's see, what else do we have? What else I wanted to say on there? So that's that. One thing is that I believe was a factor. I lost some other clams here in my main display, but one of the things is that I put these Kessels on there, if you remember, and I was thinking I was doing good by getting the Kessels on there, but come to find out, they just seem to require like twice as many Kessels as you do as the Ecotechs. Like I should have put 2 on there. So I was running just 1 as well as on my main display, and I think that's what really did it. And I just get, so I was getting like probably 75 par there on the bottom with the Kessels, and when I put it all the way down to where it is 8 inches above the surface, I was getting about 100 par right in there. But it's still those Kessels, even so when the par is right on there, they just seem to be kind of like spotlight lights, such that even if you have multiple Kessels up there, they're getting kind of like spots where the corals are burning, and in spots where they're just doesn't getting the coverage and the spread that you would otherwise get with an Ecotech Radion or with some T5s or some other lighting solutions out there. So this is that one. And I also put on, so this is I got some new, this is the G6 generation, and also I've upgraded the lighting on my main display with the G6s. I had a couple of them, 2 of them I put on here that were the Gen 5, so I got the Generation 6 ones on there, put them on there, boom, and good to go. Really like them. However, I wasn't quite aware that the lighting on them, just the cool whites, it doesn't have the whole cool whites that the Generation 5 did. Has half as many, I believe, or certainly at least 4 of them, 4 less of them each, so there's a huge difference as far as I can tell. And so you really have to, you run them I'm running these right now just full with all of the lighting, all of the LEDs on 100% intensity, whereas before I would run just the cool whites and everything else pretty much off, just the blues and the whites. But with these, if I run just the blues and just the whites, it really looks like there's just not enough white in there. And so it just looks way too blue. So, however, I put the warm whites on, and so the warm whites coupled with the blue whites on there just comes out almost just like the cool whites, right? Because the warm white and then the blues just averages out to just a white light. So therefore, the Generation 6 XR15s right here definitely just comes on here with a really nice, really crisp light. And I think what was happening with the Generation 5 Ecotech Radion lights is that they was just getting the cool whites on them were just overpowering everything on the lights, and so those cool whites really gives everything just like this washed out kind of colorless appearance. And it especially comes out when you try to photograph and film the stuff. And so on this one here, doesn't have that problem. And I can see the same thing. However, when I put it on just the cool whites itself, you can see that it is still kind of like a washed out colorness. But when you add in those warm whites and certainly the blues and all of the other spectrums on there, definitely comes down really, really good. And it really hits it on the spread on these guys, because that's what happened. I put those Kessels on the system right here, and I was running just the 4 Kessel X, what are those, 360Xs. And yeah, I mean, I lost 2 of the Crocea clams. I lost one of the Squamosa clam. I lost that one, and I lost some of my Acropora, and definitely the Acropora that I do have is definitely almost died on me. So now I've got these Generation 5 XR15s on here. Definitely looks like it's getting a much better results. I have these 4 right there And I really like the Force XR15s as opposed to the just two XR30s. Why? Because they have better spread. Why? Because I can spread them out just like this, where I get one way out onto the left side of the end and way onto the right side of the end, and then space in the middle right there. So you just get overall much better spread. And of course I have them hooked up on here to these Kessel bars. Some really practical bars to be able to easily adjust the height on them, bringing them down to get the par higher and higher and lower week by week. And so right here, like on my 20-gallon aquarium, I've gotten that one up to the par is about 250 par there on the bottom where the clam is at, and this one is at 200 par right here on the middle, and I'm definitely looking to increasing it up from there. And definitely got some good information here from Clam Mania that was there off of, he was on the BRS show there with Brian talking about the tridactylid clams on there. Definitely had a good recommendation as well. Among other things, he was talking about how the lighting is really good to hit with all of the tridactylid clams. It's the good range for them is 150 par minimum to 350 par, and that's good because it gives you a little bit of a buffer, because if you go a little bit too high on the range, say 450, you get 4 probably okay, but you hit 450 and higher, definitely can actually start to burn a lot of the clams. And when you do burn them, they can turn kind of pale and kind of colorless around the rims and the edges of the mantle there. I've seen that at least once myself. So he was definitely talking about that. That was good. Talking about how, yeah, the Durasas are found in deeper waters, and so they can do okay at 80, well, not do okay, but a minimum of 80 par with those guys. So, and that the Maximus and the Corsaires right here are definitely the highest, and the Hippopus are the highest light-loving clams of them all, so that's good. But you also don't want to get too much light, so right into that safe range is really good numbers to remember, 150 to 350. And so if you're at like 100, they're just quite not getting enough, and a lot of people in a lot of aquariums, you know, they are running at about 100 par right there, especially on the bottom sand bed where they like to try to a lot of times put the clams. So it's definitely good to try to get the clams to have a little bit of extra light, but yet not get too much light. So you want to get them right where they should be at, right, Yellow Tang? And I also got here some of this cyanobacteria, if you're seeing that, right. I've got a cyano bloom, and I definitely think this guy got kicked off when I started adding a lot more, when I was into adding more and more phytoplankton. So I decided I increased the feeding with the phytoplankton and the zooplankton essentially, and I'm thinking that that's what it was. So now it's got kicked off, and it's all up here in the front, all in the gravel. It's kind of tough though, because I hit it with a toothbrush and lift it up and get it up out of there, and yet it comes right back. I probably should siphon it out, but then I would have to kind of like siphon out a lot of my gravel right there, and definitely don't want to do that, because then I would have to replace it, and I hate adding in new calcium carbonate crushed coral pieces like that, because it definitely seems to go through a whole ugly phase again. So that's okay, that's what we're looking at right now. But in and of itself, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, doesn't look the best, definitely kind of annoying, but that's right there it is, Yellow Tang. What am I forgetting to talk about here? Let's see, we check out the Acroporas. So, well, here we've got check out candy cane sitting right there. I moved these guys over here. These are the Christmas tree worm right moved over here in the corner. That's right. Here's a shot of the Jason Fox red eye parietes that I stuck right here under the Christmas tree worm rock along with the other parietes. So definitely doing okay. Looks like the both types of varieties. I put the other variety rock in the back right there with that one. So far so good there. Here's my gonioporus right here. This one is the blue goniopora by Tidal Gardens, and definitely looking good there. And right next to it are those two other frags that got burned up. I believe I got them for too much light. Definitely starting to come back. The green goniopora as well as the pink goniopora. Just giving them time, getting bigger and bigger. I think the thing is going crazy. Getting into the picture again here. And okay, so check out the Stylophora though. The same thing. They weren't getting enough light, the same as the clams. So getting some receding all from the bottom of all of my Stylophoras. Here's the blue one right there. Blueberry Stylophora from Top Shelf Aquatics, but it's starting to come back little by little. I think here certainly I grew that whole side before. It had white tips on it before, so I've lost both of those. And I have the green one right there, and then I have like this pink one here in the middle there. So they're starting to come back. I have that green one right there. That one is the Steve Garrett Stylophora. Got this Samo Coral Gardens doing good. Here they are. Here's my, these are the Gani Astrea brains. Definitely doing good. Just a straight green, huge green colony. And the green splatter, as well as this little rainbow dude. Definitely doing good. Got these Samo Coral Garden. Got this guy definitely encrusted like crazy up onto the rock on top and down there underneath. So I was kind of hoping they would just kind of encrust to make this swirling Samo Coral Nightmare Madness. And this is my Diphastria brain, Camo 5, yeah, crazy brown on one side, crazy green on the other. And I moved the other one back over there just because I was increasing the lighting. It seemed like it was closed up a little bit more because of the extra lighting, so I put them right back into the spot right there against the back glass. Of course, I got the back glass gone wild. I got snails, I got clams growing up there. I think it's going to be interesting if I can get this Diphastria brain to start growing up the back glass. Grows too slow though, so we'll have to see. So let's see, we got what else? I got the Tessamine. Got the alkalinities, keeping it at 11. 11, a little extra high there than I have done before, but keeping it steady right there with the Reef. I'm using I got the aqua spin from my nitrate and my phosphate. Nitrate is I'm dosing it up to 20 on the other one, and this one up got a little bit higher, up to about 40, so I'm using a little bit of the no-pox to bring it back down a little bit. And then the phosphate was way down low, so I'm bumping it up. And it just uses so much that it just gets down to the 0.2, 0.1, and I had dosed it way up, and so I know that like a week later it's gonna drop way down. So I've been dosing it all the way up to 1. That's right, not 0.1, not 0.01, but 1 parts per million on the nitrate. Oh my God. Is that why I'm getting this huge cyanobacteria bloom? Oh, well, obviously that is true. It's from the increased nitrate. Maybe it's from the increased phosphate. Maybe it's from just the increased, I think it's from the increased dissolved organics. And however, the cyanobacteria is capable of fixing its own nitrate, but that doesn't mean that it's not a factor in its growth. I mean, maybe it prefers not to fix nitrate if it doesn't have to, and if there's excess nitrate and phosphate, then maybe it just grows faster than ever. But what's interesting is that I did have a whole bunch of cyanobacteria about a year ago, and it all went away. And at that time, I was just not adding any of the coral foods. I was just feeding the fish only. And let's just let it sit at that. Oh yeah, and I was dosing up the nitrates and phosphates the whole time, and they completely went away. And so the thing is that what it's about is balance. It just means that your aquarium's out of balance. You know, if you have some kind of bloom of something, it doesn't matter if it's cyanobacteria, dinoflagellates, hair algae, or diatoms, that is just out of balance, meaning that it's just growing more than it's being eaten. That's right. It's in a balance, you know, with the different types of predators that are eating the algae. So you have to just give time for the growth of your bloom to slow down and the growth of your predators to catch up with the algae. So that might take months and months, but when that happens, then it will be back in balance and all the predators will slowly but surely eat up all of the excess algae. That's right, even the cyanobacteria. Now I have heard that these Astorina starfish, as well as the Serenith snails, snails do in fact eat the cyanobacteria. And so I have seen, especially these Artemia starfish here, absolutely everywhere. So I mean, you can't say for 100% certainty that they are eating them, because they're everywhere anyway. But needless to say, I think it's safe to say that there's lots and lots of predators in the microfauna in your system eating the cyanobacteria, including lots and lots of bacteria. What? That's right, bacteria eating bacteria. See, so there must be lots and lots of bacteria that does in fact eat the cyanobacteria. And since this, there's a cyanobacteria is one of the first organisms that has been on the face of the earth, responsible for creating a large part of our oxygenated atmosphere, correct, as a lot of people out there know. However, that has given plenty of time for there to exist lots and lots of predators to the cyanobacteria. That's right, bacteria eating the other bacteria. And these bacteria, when they ate the other bacteria, a lot of them took in the ability of the cyanobacteria to in fact photosynthesize. And they have theorized that that's in fact how these algae were then evolved, that they were bacteria that then took a lot of the photosynthesizing abilities of the cyanobacteria to create the algae, such as the dinoflagellates and the other all of the algae plants later on. And so what else do we got? Let's see here. Let's check out the aquapora real quick. Where did they go? Here's my digitata garden. Got the orange and green and purple digitata starting to crust to get more and more branches. Got the purple digitata there getting the pink. He's got the green tips on him, so he seems to be doing good. Way in the back right there, that's the rainbow loom starting to touch and pool onto the back glass. See how that does? Got some green slime there in the middle, still alive, just a speck. This is the Frankenberry table. Still alive, can't believe it. I thought that the lack of light right here was going to kill it. It did show some recession on him. And I've got my home wrecker right there to the left and the wall tenacity to the right. So these guys are starting to get more and more tissue on them. They're doing really good. And over here, this is what is that one? Miyagi tort. That's what it is, the Miyagi tort. This one, I just about lost that one. Almost died on me, but there it is. Starting to get a little bit of better green and pulp tissue on them. So hopefully it's going to come back over here under the brighter light. And I got the green mealy pulver right there. And then I got the green frog and the way in the back. Hopefully that one will do good there. And I had some other ones to the left here, but they died away. Let's check out what other ones do we have. This is another of the Walt Disney that I got from Abe, and it's all wiped out, but it should be coming back now too under the brighter light. And This is the Pink Fuego by Unique Coral. Same thing right there. It's got receding from the bottom. Hopefully it's gonna come back. All right, so that's it for those guys right there. All right, well, I better get going here, but that's just an update. See what you guys can learn from my mistakes. Then that is, make sure you guys have these guys enough light on them. Use a power meter to see what's going on for sure. I had mine, but I was kind of like too lazy to use it for a while. And those Kessels, man, it's just like you use twice the amount of Kessel, but even so, you're still gonna get areas that are too high and too low. And then just watch it with the overfeeding, especially with whatever it is, the phytoplankton, the zooplankton, and the live phytoplankton. So do just little by little. And you know, that's one of the reasons why an aquarium with, you know, why the trickle filters were so good, you know, just really good biological filtration. And one of the things about the trickle filters, you know, with the plastic bio balls, is that it's easy to clean, easy to keep clean. That was, you know, one of the big things that was popular about them at the time. And I have seen them still in use. I've seen them, a video of a guy that has a store system, and he has his whole a whole shop set up like that, where he just has one huge trickle filter, and then a whole that's his biological filter with bio balls, and then he just has a whole bunch of reef aquariums plumbed into that. And so that's his store, and so he has really clean, you know, bare bottom reefs, you know, and coral grow out systems. So that seems like it's really good, and you could incorporate that, or certainly one of these bio bricks, you know, that has a lot of surface area in the sump, just to make sure, just for the extra biological filtration. And oh yeah, one else thing I was gonna mention on this, come check out this 20-gallon quarantine system that I had. The other like filter in the back, that was the Aqua Max along with the protein skimmer and everything, but unfortunately it just became it just started to not work, not flow. You know, they couldn't get the flow to flow correctly anymore, and I took out the whole pump and cleaned it really good, and so it's just like I have to buy a new pump at a minimum, if not a whole new system. So I just got frustrated with that whole setup right there, and I just took the whole thing completely off. That's right, so I'm just running nothing on this system. That's right, absolutely nothing, just no protein skimmer. I'm doing water changes, but I'm doing just really small daily water changes. That's about 100% over about a year, over the course of 12 months. So what did I do? Well, I just put just the heater right there is the only thing I have left. There it is, just the heater and my 2 probes right there. So that's it, just the heater, 2 probes. I have it connected to my controllers, temperature controllers right there, and just the pump. So there it is. And so this is one case where, you know, if I were to go bare bottom in this one, then I would just be just the live rock itself and have very little of the actual, probably wouldn't have enough biological filtration. So in this one here, I have 2 inches of crushed coral, and then I have 1 inch of the actual live sand. I believe it was the Carib Sea, the live direct stuff. And so yeah, if I were to do it again though, I would just do 1 inch of just the straight crushed coral if I were to have something on the bottom, or just less, like I did with my main display right here, where I just have just enough sand to cover the bottom right here, and then have the sump underneath, and then have the other filtration down there. So I just do this just for aesthetics, just where I can, if it's not, I could easily remove this amount of the sand, and it's not too much of a crushed coral and sand that the detritus, you know, it will build up in such a huge amount as it would if it were 1 inch or more. But, you know, I could easily stir this up and siphon it out, or just clean it out routinely. However, I've just let this one completely sit, so it's completely natural. It's just a whole bunch of detritus. Oh my god, it's got detritus absolutely everywhere. And of course, it must be that this detritus is in fact the reason that I'm having this dinoflagellate bloom, right? Because the dinoflagellates the cyanobacteria, absolutely loves the detritus, because the detritus is found where the cyano is found. That means that the cyanobacteria absolutely is growing and loves the detritus. Therefore, if I remove all of the detritus, I will therefore not have a cyanobacteria bloom anymore. Maybe or maybe not. So it just kind of depends. I mean, that's one theory. However, just because it seems to prefer and grow in areas where the detritus also is, that doesn't mean that it's directly feeding on that particular detritus that's there. So I don't know. I believe that it just likes the areas because that's an area of low flow where the bacteria prefers to grow. However, I don't know. I just don't think that it certainly isn't scientifically proven. Then that's one of the things I would like to see proven is it in fact the case that it's the detritus, or is it just some other dissolved organics in the water column, or what's going on there. So yeah, that's kind of interesting there. Not 100% sure, that there's that you have to absolutely keep your aquarium just 100% free of detritus, or constantly cleaning the aquarium of the detritus on this one. I considered going both ways when I set it up to get in. I was thinking that, one way would be to go to super clean method. That would be bare bottom, and then to have run the filter fleeces and some kind of a filter rollers down on the sump and everything, and to always, siphon every last bit of detritus and piece of algae and cyanobacteria you ever find anywhere. And if you don't get it out, then you're just going to have this huge cyano bloom and your corals are all going to die, right? So the other thing I was thinking, the other theory is just like, okay, maybe the detritus is... maybe it's maybe a lot of it could be inert. Maybe a lot of it is in fact nutrients. However, I am dosing nitrates and dosing phosphates, so maybe that is a good thing to have some or a lot of nitrates or nutrients or organics in the form of detritus. So maybe that isn't necessarily a bad thing. So it's kind of being that I kind of went the dirty route with this one, so I went with a little bit of crushed coral here, just as a decorative measure right there, as well as in the sump. And so I haven't been siphoning out any of the detritus. I've just been absolutely letting it completely sit in there, and as well in my sump, just letting it sit in there, just kind of like settling out in a similar fashion as sediment filters. So you have just a sediment filter. That's what it does. It just collects the sediment, and it just forms the detritus and layers of sediment, and becomes a sediment trap. So that's what it's just kind of done. And then there's, I have these guys. In this guys, I have these snails. I have these a couple of the Astorina snails. I have 4 of the big Astorina snails. Tons of the Serenade snails, tons of the Stomatella snails, tons and tons of these Astorina starfish, and tons of these bristle stars, and tons of copepods. So in between all of these yellow tank, what's going on in here? We're talking about copepods. Okay, I got all these copepods and amphipods. And by the way, that's another thing that eats cyanobacteria is our amphipods, and this is according to the University of the North Baltic Sea, where I was reading an article on there, and they were describing how they have these huge cyanobacteria blooms every year in the North Baltic Sea, and that they get more and more of an algae blooms on them now that we're getting a little bit more warmer temperatures up there. And so they were talking about how, what eats cyanobacteria? And they were talking about how there's all kinds of different bacteria that do in fact eat the cyanobacteria. They were talking about how amphipods, certain ones eat the cyanobacteria, and they're also talking about how, at least in the North Baltic Sea, that they did a study where they collected the zooplankton. They did an analysis of what the different things that the zooplankton were eating up there, and they came to the conclusion that up to 70% of the nutrition of the zooplankton they found to be cyanobacteria. So, well, at least maybe not in your reef aquarium and tropical coral reef aquarium, but at least in that area, that up to 70% of the zooplankton were actually eating cyanobacteria. So therefore, there must be lots of microfauna in balance with your system that eats the cyanobacteria naturally, in your reef aquarium and on a natural reef. So that's kind of interesting there. I'm trying to see different things that are eating these guys. The amphipods, I don't know if the copepods eat them too, maybe not. So that being said, there's all kinds of, it's safe to say there's tons of bacteria that definitely eat them. Just eats them. Alright guys, well I guess that's it. See if there's anything else going on. Let's see. Cyanobacterium. Reefing madness. Alright guys, well, I guess I'll catch you on the next one. Happy reefing. Bye.